All right. So, anyways, we're back for our last podcast in June. I'm pretty sure we did like 5 this month. You guys know Saquon's been working out like crazy. We're gonna wrap up our positional previews as well. But first things first, guys. Let's get into introductions. What's going on? Welcome to another edition of the Giants Brawl podcast, brought to you by the Brawl Network. As always, I get to be your host for this episode, Usaid Koshal. Shoot me a follow on Twitter at Usaid Koshal. Mike Trainer, who you can follow on Twitter at Mike Trainer MFT. He was in the sun all day. Anthony Rivardo's in the house too. He doesn't look as tired as he was like 3 weeks ago. You follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Rivardo. Guys, what's going on?
I'm actually pretty tired, so it's funny that you say that. And I also got a haircut today for the first time in 7 months, so I'm pretty excited about that.
That's pretty. I had to do my haircut too, man. I do it myself, man. I try to save some money. I didn't screw it up, so I think I'm all right. I always wear a hat anyway, so it don't matter.
My hair's been cut for like 2 or 3 weeks now, and like 2 weeks now at this point. It's like still growing back, dude. But it is what it is. I'm sitting here munching on this Cliff chocolate brownie bar. I started working out again. I ran like 11 miles over like a 3-day span. So
not bad.
I gotta start running again. Is your gym open? You say?
Nah, it's not open. Dude, the gym that was by my house, bro, the dude opened up. My brother used to go there, right? And the dude opened up like too early, and now he's like in a lawsuit with the county. So he's basically moving like down the street, right? So I don't know what's going to happen. There's no other like 24-hour one, which is like right across from where I work. So I'm like, oh, once this thing opens up, like, once shit's back to normal, we can just go ahead and, I'll just get off work and then go work out. But until then, like, I'm just going to continue to, like, run to the park and whatnot and run back.
I don't get it. Do people really get sick from the gym? Just wipe the machine down before you use it and after you use it. I mean, we're not animals here. We know how to work out, right?
Yeah.
I don't buy that, man. Just open up all the gyms. Let's go already. Everybody needs to start getting worked out because if you're not working out, you're not lifting, your immune system's going to depreciate, and then you're going to end up getting sick because you're not working out. Am I right?
I'm not a doctor, dude. I
don't know.
hated
I'm not a
biology.
doctor.
Yeah. I hated biology class, bro, so I have no idea what you're talking about, okay? Really.
I quit being a doctor to do this podcast, so I'm just like
You're the podcast doctor now, officially.
Yeah.
If Usaid and I are feeling under the weather, we come to Mike now.
Yeah, go to Mike Trainer. And where are you at in New York, dude?
I'm in the YO, man, Westchester County.
Oh, okay. Hold on. That's where G. Steelio's hood is, right?
YO, Yonkers, home of the Brave.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right, guys, let's get into it. So, obviously, for the last, 10, 11 weeks, pretty much since the draft, we've been doing, positional previews. When you look at it, so last week we did linebackers. This week we're going to wrap it up with kicker, punter, and long snapper. 3 very underrated and underappreciated parts of any NFL team. Anthony, I'll go ahead and start with you on this. So I know, Aldrick Rosas, the situation's up in air. But I think, right now, it's not that, he was a good kicker, definitely emerging as one of the best in the NFL. But, really, when you look at it, if he's not in camp come June or July 28th, they're going to bring someone in. There are plenty of names out there like Nick Folk and Steven Gostkowski that you mentioned a couple weeks ago when the whole Rosas hit and run thing came out. They can just bring one of these guys in.
Yeah, those are definitely the 2 names that I'm looking at. And then at the punter position, I think we're set. I really like Riley Dixon. I think that he did a great job last year. And Casey Kreider, our new long snapper, I had the chance to interview him and speak with him on Fireside Giants. And I really like him. I like his attitude, his personality. He's determined to be a hard worker, and I think he's going to do great things for us. He was a Pro Bowler with the Denver Broncos in 2018. Perfect snaps, long snaps by him. And I think that's a position that the Giants really needed to upgrade. Zach Diassi manned that position for a very long time, but he was injured last year, and it showed up. His snaps just weren't as good as we were accustomed to seeing them be. And I think that's why Aldrick Rosas struggled more times than not. And we need to replace our kicker now, I think. What happened is really, really terrible. So it's going to probably be one of those guys that I mentioned, Gostkowski or Nick Folk or Joe Judge. He's going to use his special teams wisdom and find someone else that we don't even know about, and that'll be cool too. Whatever he does, whatever signing Joe Judge makes, I'm going to trust because that guy, he's a special teams coordinator. He knows his special teams. I'm really confident in this unit going into the 2020 season with Joe Judge especially. I thought we did a really good job last year in the special teams department. T-Mac, Thomas McGahee, he was awesome. I think combining him with Joe Judge. The Giants, they have a lot of talent in their special teams unit. I think that there's no excuse for them not to be a top 10 unit in the NFL this year.
I think they'll be number one. We might have the number one special teams this coming year.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Casey and Riley Dixon, they played together in Denver for like 2 years. So they know each other. You got to like that, like that atmosphere with these guys being used to each other. Rosas, I kind of agree with you, and I think he's done, man. It's just a matter of time. I think they're waiting, for the legal system to go through, and once they, he's found guilty or whatever he did, he's lucky he didn't kill anybody. But if he's found guilty or whatever it is, or he comes to a plea deal, that's it. That's probably, his contract's going to get voided because of that. I think they have to wait for the legal system to show its hand.
Yeah, I think so. I drafted Rosas, so I participated in a dynasty, I think, like last summer, right, for a dynasty fantasy league. I drafted Rosas specifically because kicker is the one position, like, you can just draft and then not have to worry about for, like, the next 10 to 15 years, unless you're a team like the freaking Bears, right, who cut Robbie Gould and then he, kicking carousel. But, like, obviously, so kicker for the Giants has been one position traditionally where, like, they had Lawrence Tynes for so long, went through a bit of a carousel. Now it seemed like a couple of years ago they finally hit on Rosas, and now this is a situation that we got to monitor because if they don't bring in one of these proven veterans, right, they decide to go like a younger route, it's going to be a bit of an issue for me because like these young guys, they need time to like get adjusted to the NFL level and the mental and like what you're supposed to be doing. They got to get like ball placement, everything exactly correct. Because the last thing you want is to do a Dallas Cowboys thing and have, like, the laces, hit the foot of the kicker because we don't want that because that's going to cost us playoff games in the future. But, yeah, overall, like, for special teams, it's a good unit. But, like, kicker's the only one that's up in air right now. And then looking at, like, punter, I'm confident in Riley Dixon because I think that for, Dixon, he showcased a lot of potential in Denver and then comes to the Giants, did really well last year, I thought. And so now, I think that like this overall, just a special teams unit, what it's going to do is like set the offense and defense up in good field position when needed.
Definitely. And I want to mention that I do personally disagree. I wouldn't mind if they brought in a younger kicker just because I am so confident in Thomas McGahee and Joe Judge. Whoever they pick, I think he's going to be the right guy for the job and he's going to do an excellent job no matter what. So I don't want to be like a Gettleman or Giants truther, an apologist in this way. I know Mike would say whoever they bring in is going to be the greatest kicker of all time. I'm not going to go that far, but whoever they bring in, I have the confidence in. He's going to be a good player for us just because I trust Joe Judge and Thomas McGahee as special teams coordinators.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we got a young team. I wouldn't mind either way, a veteran presence or a young guy and let him, get his feet wet and go in there. As long as we don't get a young guy where he comes in and costs us games down the line if these guys are gelling and playing hard. So, I don't know. You got to bring I would bring a veteran and a young guy that can't and let them battle it out and see what happens.
I think when you're playing in these, like, here's the thing. So I want a guy, like, if they're going to pick, let's just say a younger kicker, like an undrafted free agent or a rookie, right? You got to go with someone that's played, like, in these cold weather college stadium environments. Just because when you look at an environment like New York, for example, it's cold, it's snowy, the wind is going to have an effect, right? So you need to get a guy that has a really strong leg that's able to kick the damn ball from like 50, 60 yards out, do so like in December, and then also be like super accurate. And this guy, I know some people think like, oh well, he just shouldn't practice, like he's just practiced at Giants training facility, etc. Like, yeah, that's cool, but this guy also needs to go to MetLife and practice, because like you're not trained to kick in a practice field. You gotta Kickers, they do their job right on the actual field, right? So like these guys gotta practice in the stadium, because all the great like kickers that have come and gone, they've all consistently practiced like in their stadiums.
Well, you're saying you guys are mentioning like, well, we got to get a guy here. Well, let's not forget. I've been watching a lot of videos. There's women that are coming out kicking the beep out of the ball. Oh, I got to start censoring myself nowadays. So there's some women. It's like, imagine we get like a really hot kicker, like an Alex Morgan, that could kick the beep out of the ball. Like, yo, I would buy that jersey. I would represent her. Like, let's get this one of these girl kickers in here.
Hey, man, the best person for the job, man, woman, or otherwise, that's who I want manning the job, or not manning, I guess. I want them playing the kicker position, whoever is the best possible. So I'll support whatever they do.
Hold on, wasn't there the video of Morgan that went viral like last summer that was basically her like kicking a field goal or something, and then everyone was making jokes that like, oh, if your team needs a kicker, you got to go ahead and like sign this person or sign Alex Morgan, and that was after they won the World Cup, right?
Well, wasn't there a women's soccer player who wanted to become a professional NFL kicker
I don't
around
remember,
last
dude.
off season? I feel like that was a thing.
That's why like it's in the back of my head. I can't figure out who it
Me
was.
too. I don't remember who it was, but I'm pretty sure that was a thing last off season. I think a team was considering giving her a workout. So, and
Right.
then if she can make the kicks, she can make the kicks. I don't care.
Yeah, you're right. I'll take anybody. Like, it'll be funny. Imagine, like, what if we get like I can't say midget. What about a small person? Imagine a small person kick the ball like 80 yards for field goals. A small person as a New York Giant. How ironic would that be? How awesome would that be? A little guy just kicking field goals from like 60 yards.
If
I don't
someone
know,
can kick a
dude.
field goal 60 yards for the Giants, I don't care what they look like or who they are. Sign me up. I want them on the team.
I mean, I wouldn't sign anyone, but like,
I mean,
you just gotta find the right person. I think like in a cold weather stadium like New York, you gotta have someone like that's accurate and with a big leg, because like the big leg is all about distance and whatnot. And then for the kicker, you gotta make sure like the plant foot and the kicking foot, everything like those technique, that technical stuff, like all that's gotta be in sync. Because you take one wrong step and that ball could be going like 20 yards like wide left or something.
Maybe Barkley could kick. He's got gigantic legs.
Yeah,
well,
he
yeah,
does.
I always said that when we had Odell on the team. That dude can kick field goals. He would post videos of him making 55-yarders. Why not just save the money, cut the kicker, and have Odell kick? I know that's not really a realistic, scenario, but
Hey,
save some money.
imagine the play action fakes on a fake field goal with Odell there running all over the place. That would
Oof.
be fantastic. Yeah, why did
Direct snap to the kicker.
Oh, dude, that would be I can't believe they wasted it, man. Schumer wasted him. Wasted. We could have had
Yeah,
him so much.
Matt could do too.
Yeah, he did too. No screens, nothing for him. Yeah, just run out. Go deep.
And I want to mention Usay, because I know that you were talking about kickers kicking in the field or in the stadium. The Giants did get new turf this year, so I'm wondering if that might have any effect on player performance in general, slipping here and there, and kicking. I wonder if it will have an effect. This turf is supposed to be much improved, they said, so I'm
Hold
excited for
on.
that.
Because I didn't hear about, because I just heard about that like right now as you mention it. But was it a grass field before, or was it like all turf?
No, it was turf, but they got a new
Okay.
turf. They got a new company to put in the turf, and it's a bit darker green than it used to be. So, and it looked really nice. I saw the picture, but apparently it's supposed to be better for the player's performance. So,
Okay, yeah, you just can't give the opponent too much advantage with this new turf, because some of these teams are like used to playing on it. Like the Saints, and it's good you brought this up, right? But like some teams, like the Saints, for example, right? They're like able to kill it on turf, and then when they get on grass sometimes, they like absolutely suck. And then there's other teams that just play on like natural grass, which like gets the job done, but then sometimes like players slip and whatnot, you know. And then sometimes the teams who do play on turf, there's like those small black like specks or something that just pop up out of nowhere, and they get into players' eyes. Like it happened to Todd Gurley like a couple of years ago in the NFC Championship game.
Well, look at Peyton Manning all the years. When he was inside in the dome on the turf, he was lights out. But if he had to go outside and go to Foxborough and play in the cold, it was a different ball game for him, man.
So yeah, I found it. It's the Land Tech. They made the new turf. They teamed up. I guess the Giants, the end zones are slightly altered as well. They don't
Well,
have the NFC logo in the end zones anymore. Now it's the NY logo.
Well, at least they're doing something right with the turf because that stadium is complete trash compared to other stadiums.
Hey, I think MetLife is great. And it's not really a problem that can ever be fixed. I just don't like that it's neutral. I think it makes it harder for some fans to engage, it seems like. I don't know. And I also feel like it's so large, but it's really spread out, which is probably good for right now with the coronavirus. But I feel like it's very spread out in there, and it's kind of hard to get the noise to encompass in the stadium. Like the Chiefs Stadium is built like a bowl, and the CenturyLink, the Seahawks, is built like a bowl so that the sound all stays in the center of the field. But I feel like that doesn't really work in the Giants in MetLife Stadium. But I mean, aside from that, I think, of course, the locationing is great. The view, when you're in the parking lot, you could see the Freedom Tower, and I think that's a beautiful sight. I think it's a beautiful stadium. I don't hate it or anything. I wouldn't call it garbage, but you know, I definitely think that they could have done better with it.
They could have done a lot better with that. But just looking from it from like the outside, and you know what I mean. It's the same thing with Yankee Stadium. Met Stadium, looks so much better compared to Yankee Stadium. They just I don't know what these contracts these guys signed, but they really missed a boat on these stadiums because you look around, like, I mean, maybe that's the sign of the times, like with Vegas coming around, and you see how great the stadium's going to look. Maybe every year, like, or every few years, we just need to upgrade everything, like we upgrade our iPhones. Maybe we should just go upgrade stadiums because these guys, let's face it, they have the money. They're getting paid billions of dollars. Like, just, renovate it or do something, man.
Yeah, but stadiums are worth billions of dollars, so it would probably be a pretty hard thing to do.
Yeah, but like you got to factor in some like, because does Giants ownership, do they own the stadium or is this owned by like the state of New York or New
I think
Jersey?
I think it's the state.
Oh yeah, see, when it's the state, then it's an issue because people are gonna be like, "Oh, what's up?"
Taxpayers.
Yeah, like taxpayers, all the funding. Some people are gonna argue like, "Well, this thing's only being used, whatever, 8 games. Well, six is realistically it's 16 games, but like 16 weeks out of the year, it's guaranteed use." And then there's all the other stuff like, what do you do within the off season, et cetera, right?
Well,
So like,
MetLife gets a lot of business.
yeah.
Concerts and everything. They've always got something going on.
I will say though, what's his name, dude? Like when MetLife was open, like what, 10 or 11 years ago, right? This was when it was open. At the time, it was the new look stadium, like the best thing in the NFL. But over
Yeah.
time, like you've seen, I mean, Jerry World's been open, and the Rams and Chargers new stadium, the Raiders new stadium as well in Las Vegas. Those have all like eventually just phased the whole thing out.
That's true. I remember when MetLife Stadium was built. I think it was called the New Meadowlands Stadium, right? They didn't
Hmm.
even call it MetLife. So New Meadowlands Stadium, when that was built, it was widely considered to be the best outdoor stadium in the league upon its completion. And then that quickly kind of died off after 3 years or so. Once some other teams got new stadiums, people really changed their opinions rather quickly.
Everything changes, man. Remember, like, Baltimore Orioles with Camden Yards, how Camden Yards was, like, so amazing with the brick in the back. And, I think that's what I'm saying. Like, every few years they should just at least, maybe every 5 years, upgrade it. I mean, they do a lot of business. Like you said, like with concerts and soccer games in that stadium. They're getting the revenue, or at least they did before. I mean, who knows now, like, what's going to happen
Yeah.
with this whole situation.
And anyways, speaking of playing in MetLife and whatnot, I know Mike mentioned Saquon's ginormous legs earlier. Have you guys seen? I know you guys have seen his workouts that have pretty much gone viral. He seemed to be working on like the legs and whatnot. To me, basically what this signals is that the best player on the Giants roster isn't satisfied with his 2019 season because he got injured in week 3 against Tampa Bay, right?
Yep.
Sprained ankle kept him out for like pretty much the entire year. But it was weird because like trainers were saying, "Oh, he's so far ahead of schedule in rehab with his like ankle sprain. We've never seen anyone rehab like this fast." So basically, Saquon, I think right now, if you had to pick like a true comeback player of the year, it would probably be between him and Cam Newton. But I would give it to Saquon, just because like with Cam, you know that he's older, he's a mobile quarterback. There is like the shoulder and the foot injuries that have slowed him down even when Cam was healthy. So my comeback player of the year, Saquon, and you see it in these videos that are going viral.
Dude, 100%, man. You're absolutely right. I was gonna say Cam Newton before you said it. Obviously, like I'm betting on my boy Barkley, but Cam Newton, man, like going to New England. And you know Belichick, he ain't tanking. So he's going to give Cam Newton every opportunity to win that job, come out of training camp, and to see what they do. Belichick, he'll get that guy in the right situation. But Barkley, Barkley coming off that injury, he's motivated. He wants it, and we got the offensive line now to make that happen. So, yeah, watch for Barkley going for like 2, 3, 4,000 yards from scrimmage. Catching, running, everywhere.
4,000 yards sounds a bit extreme, but I'll hope for it.
I'll go 2,000, dude. At least
he had
2,000.
2,028 in his rookie season, which was pretty amazing. And he did manage to top 1,000 rushing yards despite missing 3 games with injury last year and playing hurt in the majority of his games. So the talent is there. He's gonna put up a ton of crazy stats. But I'm excited too because the workout video, like you mentioned, but also just the photographs of him working out, he's bigger now. He was doing some drills running in the ladders, I think, and his biceps are just noticeably larger than they were last year and more defined. His legs even look a little larger. He's superhuman is what he is. But the fact, because remember when Christian McCaffrey last offseason, everyone was saying he looks bigger. And then he blew up this year and was just unstoppable. That's what I'm seeing with Saquon Barkley now. He looks bigger, and I think he's about to just have a monster season. And I'm really excited for it, especially because of the new offensive scheme. We don't have to watch Pat Shurmur call a halfback dive 63% of the time. That is a statistic, 63% of the time, which is just unbelievable to me.
I don't think you're going to see, like, how, like, running backs, they kind of, like, go downhill after like 4 or 5 years. I don't think we're going to see that with Barkley. I think we're going to see him stay the course for at least 10 years. All right? Mark my words on this podcast, which we're like the Notre Dame podcast, and we predict things that come true. So in 2030, Barkley's still going to be running for like close to like 1,800, 2,000 yards.
Yeah, I think Barkley obviously just draws a lot of comparisons to Adrian Peterson. When you really, because I grew up watching Adrian Peterson, just watching tons of NFC North football, and his thing was that as time progressed, as his career went on in Minnesota, his issue wasn't that he was slow or he lost a step. It was just that the Vikings never put a solid offensive line around him, and they tried to do. Basically, he was the do-it-all kind of guy, right? And he had to be there for the offense every single time. And obviously, when you get hit by Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs and AJ Hawk and Clay Matthews every other play, it's gonna take a toll on you after some time. So Barkley, if they can just keep the offensive line upright in terms of longevity, and they can continue to draft and develop offensive linemen, because some of these guys Nate Solder ain't going to be here next year at this time. Mark my words on that too, right? Then I think Barkley can seriously play 15, 16 years maybe even. And I think that will seriously him and McCaffrey, I think can really get running backs back to the value of where they're supposed to be.
maybe keep like Dion Lewis, like give him a lot of more reps. We need like a productive backup too, man, to keep him in line.
I agree. I think Dion Lewis will do a pretty good job, but I've heard the name Javon Leake come up a lot. I think he was an undrafted free agent that we signed. I got to do a little more research on him and watch some film, but a lot of people they speak really highly of him. They think that he has a chance to be that solid backup running back. So maybe that's someone that we can preview on the next episode.
Yeah, I got Javon Leaks like Wikipedia pulled up right here. So like he played at just some preliminary info, but like he's a running back, was a return specialist too, and then played at Maryland. So like and he was born in the Bronx as well. So like I think this is someone that you look at. I mean, just looking at his college bio and whatnot, I think he has extensive experience, and he's gonna kind of be, when training camp opens up in a couple of weeks, the one guy that you like got to continue to watch out for, because he could legitimately be the dude who comes out of nowhere and then ends up making the roster, and then is the kind of guy you can give like 10 to 12 touches a game to.
Well, this is the reason, like, I don't want, like, everybody wants preseason to go down to, like, 2 games, but I like preseason to be 4 games because you see a lot of these rookies and these no-name guys that get the playing time, they make plays you get excited about. Victor Cruz, when he was number 3, he stepped up. You're like, who is this guy catching, like, 3 touchdown passes against the Jets in a preseason game? So, I want to see these guys play, man. I'm hoping that they have that opportunity with everything that's going on now. We get to see what they're made of.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Anthony.
I'm just gonna say I hope that we get to see them play. I don't know what I'm gonna do if football season doesn't happen.
Same. That's why y'all better wear a mask when you go out, even if you don't want to, because we need football. Moving on, guys. I think you look at training camp, everything revolving at this point around like training camp and whatnot, rookie expectations going into 2020. I think you could legitimately argue, and I don't think anyone said this, but you could legitimately argue the Giants got 2 first-round picks in this year's draft with Andrew Thomas and with Xavier McKinney, because McKinney, had there not been a run on wide receivers and Green Bay not trading up for Jordan Love, he definitely goes between 20 and 32 in round 1 because he's just that good of a player. When you look at Thomas, I've seen a lot of talk on the internet of, is he going to be ready to start day 1? Is he ready, etc. All this talk, is he going to play at left tackle? And it's like, let me just lay down the law for y'all. The dude better start day 1 because he was a top 5 draft pick. When you're pegged, and him and Jedrick Wills were the only 2 that were pegged as like surefire top 10 picks in this draft class. You could argue Tristan Wirfs, but Wills and Thomas were the top 2 for sure. They're also the 2 that were most popular amongst the Giants fan base. So overall, Thomas needs to start day 1 because you select him top 5. He's that talented of a guy. And he's going to be the guy that's going to be protecting Daniel Jones for the next, 15 seasons at this point.
I agree. I don't think it would make much sense for them to put him at right tackle for a year and then try and switch him back to left tackle in his sophomore season. It doesn't make sense to me. I think he's already better than Nate Solder at this point. I think Nate Solder, he allowed the most sacks by an offensive tackle in the league last year with 11, and I think he let up 50-something pressures. It's an unacceptable performance out of a player making as much money as he's making, and I think that Andrew Thomas can step in day 1 and perform better than that, and I don't see any upside or benefit to having him play right tackle to start and then try and switch his position back. I think it could just stunt his growth and create a cornucopia of issues that could otherwise be avoided by just having him play his natural position immediately.
100%, and I totally agree. You have to have Andrew Thomas start at left tackle because you got a young guy, Will Hernandez, right next to him that you want to get that continuity and you want to get that, his back protection for Daniel Jones for the next, 10, 12, 15 years. You want to have that continuity right there. So don't even waste the time at right tackle, Joe Judge. Put him right to left tackle and just let him grow.
Well, honestly, because I just pulled up Nate Solder's contract information on Spot Track. You could argue right now that he's a guy that could get cut at training camp with all these younger guys we got on the offensive line, because they could cut him after June 1st. The Giants can cut him and save $10 million in cap space, but there would be about, I think, what is it? Yes, $6.5 million. Or no, $9.5 million in dead cap that's incurred. So you're not really saving much money there. But then that drops down to 6.5 in 2021. And I think that if these younger guys like Nick Gates, for example, who can pretty much play 3 different positions on the offensive line, Shane Lemieux, even Matt Peart, Andrew Thomas, we've just mentioned multiple times. Who's the center we got right now, dude? I cannot remember.
Spencer Pulley.
Yeah, Spencer Pulley. There we go. So these younger guys, and then obviously Will Hernandez. If these guys, like if Nick Gates shows up to camp, you gotta. I think and he really outperforms Nate Solder. Then at that point, you gotta cut him, because you gotta cut. Solder, let me clarify, because the good teams in the NFL and the good coaching staffs, they know when it's time to cut a player. Like, they don't do it too early and they don't do it too late.
Well, you got to watch out, too, because maybe we don't cut him. Like, I think I said this before. Maybe there's a trade opportunity to get like a 5th round, 6th round pick for him, because teams just look for left tackles or right tackles. So, maybe they put his name out there and he goes to, somewhere. We don't know.
Protect Cam Newton in New England.
Yeah, right.
No, but I will say, dude, for all the people, because I know, Anthony, I think you mentioned this, right? It was, there's no point in playing Andrew Thomas at right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
He should not be playing right tackle, because right tackle and left tackle in the NFL, those are 2 totally different positions. And not because one guy plays on the left side of the line and the other guy plays on the right side of the line. The reason being is a lot of the dominant, like, edge rushers in the NFL, like Clowney, Khalil Mack is another one. Aaron Donald, even, like, these guys primarily line up on, like, the left side of the offensive line, basically.
That's true. I'll say, though, a lot more are lining up on the other side as well. I believe DeMarcus Lawrence lines up on the other side. I think either way you're going to be going up against talented players. I just think the key aspect of it, the more important aspect, is the fact that it's Daniel Jones' blind side. His pocket presence is bad enough as it is right now, and it's something that he really needs to work on to take his game to the next level. But I just don't think having Nate Solder to covering his blind side helped at all, because there were times where it was an instant pass rush win for the defense, and Daniel Jones just wasn't ready to sense the pressure. He didn't know it was coming. He would get hit. And in general, I just think that's the problem right there, is that's his blind side. That is key. That is important. He's got good awareness. He's got good vision. He'll see if someone's on his right side coming after him. But behind him, he doesn't really have that sense yet. He hasn't learned how to sense pressure coming from behind. And I think that's why you got to get the best man that you can covering his blind side instantly.
It's just like, so what some like defensive coordinators do is sometimes it depends on where their defensive linemen line up, because like sometimes these guys line up away farther from the line of scrimmage, because it creates like a big arc, which is advantage defensive linemen or pass rushers, because that allows them to kind of like, some guys will convert speed to power. Some guys will use the arc to bend around, offensive linemen and then be able to finish the play. Like Von Miller's one guy that sometimes will line up farther away from the right tackle, use a wide arc, and then uses the bend to basically get underneath guys and finish the play. So, like, that's where, a lot of times, like, Daniel Jones's, like, horrendous pocket presence or pocket awareness was just being exposed last year, because offensive linemen were not adjusting. And that's something we need to do, or this, like, line needs to do.
Also, too, Daniel Jones would look like he was, like, wanted to make a play. He wanted to prove himself. So it looked like he kind of, like, held the ball a little too long to try to get guys open down the field. And, that might have something to do with it, too. So, like, I think we're going to see a major improvement with him. So all, like, the Cowboys brawl and Philly brawl, they could go shut the up, okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell him you said that. All right, dude. I'll tell who am I gonna tell? I'll tell Connor, dude, Nate Sanchez, and Parker. I'm gonna be like, yo, this is what Mike said. If you guys want to debate it, come on the pod sometime, and you can debate like NFC East opponents. I don't know. Maybe that's a segment we'll launch, sometime over the next couple of weeks here. But so yeah, those are the expectations for Andrew Thomas, and then training camp's finally opening up next. No, what is it for? Yeah, like 20 today. Okay, so today is June 30th. Tomorrow's July 1st. So 28 days till camp while we're recording this. This is the first time probably since like 2016, I think. 2016, right? That like we can feel this good about a team.
Seems like everything's opening up in a month, right?
No.
Not really.
Basketball, baseball, football camp, everything's opening up a month, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
I guess in terms of sports.
No, but on all seriousness, this is the first time you can legitimately feel excited for this team because there's a lot of young talent, some of it which is developed, some which has to develop, some which is semi-developed, but just needs to develop more to take the next step and break out.
Well, Daniel Jones is the key to it all. He needs to develop. He is the future of this franchise, the face of this franchise. And like you said, Mike, he does seem to hold on to the ball too long. That is one of his biggest weaknesses, his biggest flaws. Holding on to the football, not fumbling, that's going to be key. If he can correct that error, it's going to be huge. And he's already working at it. He's trying to get better. He's been working on his carrying, his ball carrying, hitting the weight room. He added 9 pounds of strength. He's getting yoked. He's a beast out there. I keep seeing videos of him practicing with QB country, just improving and getting better. All really exciting stuff. I know that he's determined and motivated to improve, and I trust and think that he will. And I think that's the key to the Giants is the quarterback position. I think it's the key to every NFL team.
I agree. I think it'd be fine, man. They just, like rookie mistakes, man. Like I said, he was just holding the ball too long. You got to give him like the sophomore season to have him step up. And you watch what these coaches doing with Garrett, with the offensive coordinator, and I think he'll be okay.
Well, this is kind of like his true rookie season because if you take out last season, like it's a new staff, they're he's pretty much, if you think at this point, starting all over, because the first thing they probably told him in the Zoom meetings was throw out everything that they had you do last year because that really stunted your development. Because that just happens with some of these, second year guys that do go into year two with a new coaching staff. Like the old coaching staff, because they were for the most part like all stingy and had kind of their own way of doing things. They're like, no, this is what you need to become. This is what you got to do to be successful at this level. Now the new coaching staff is like a breath of fresh air because it's like, all right, throw all that junk out. Let's start all over again like you're a rookie and you've never taken a step in the NFL before.
That's one thing I kind of worry about, but I don't worry about, like with like the new coaching staff and Daniel Jones learning the new playbook. I think he's smart enough to like handle that. I think he's studying hard. Like Ant said, he's putting into the work. He's building the muscle to alleviate the fumbles. I think he's ready to step up and make a big improvement. Even though, with the whole Zoom things going on, the whole Zoom meetings, and he's not there yet. You watch, he's got the smarts to make a big improvement this coming season. You watch.
I think his thing overall, right, is I think like it's hard to learn like an NFL offense in a regular offseason when you're a young quarterback, right? Because keep in mind you're also talking about someone that like didn't go to a big football school, right? Like when I think of Duke, you think of like I basically think of like Coach K and Zion Williamson and basketball, right? Because that's pretty much what Duke is known for. Football, they're in the ACC, right? But you never really hear about like Duke's football team. So the fact that he also went to a smaller football program, like in college, kind of has a lot to do with why his draft projections were anywhere from like top 10 to like fourth or fifth round. a year and a half ago at this point, but like, he did show improvement, and he's got like Anthony said, the pocket presence is probably the biggest thing, because that led to like, what did he have in 2019, dude? 18 fumbles, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the pocket presence is like the biggest thing he's got to work on. And regarding learning the playbook and whatnot, he needs to also playbook's gonna, he'll get that down only when he's able to get out there with the rest of his teammates and practice at camp in a couple weeks. And then also he's got to learn to get the ball out like in under 2.5 seconds at sometimes, because there were times last season he held on to the ball way too long.
It's true. He definitely did. These are all things he's got to work on. And like I mentioned, he's working on them, and he's going to get better. I think that he's going to win. How many Super Bowls, Mike? 10?
I have the over. Like, what did Grante have? 7 rings?
7 rings. Over, under. You have the over?
I
Okay.
have the over, absolutely. So 10 would be like my bet. I was
What?
over.
10 would be the minimum, right?
Definitely minimum. No doubt. I would say, like, he would have 10 by 2035. Is that right?
So that would be what, 17 years almost of his career then? 19 to 35, right?
Because the referees will blow the other, like, 7 years on us somehow.
No, you know who will though? Like players taking trips to Miami the week of a playoff game.
Don't bring that up. That's a sore subject.
Yo, why would you? It's like you just made a blow at our fan base like that. What the heck, Usaid?
There wasn't a
You
blow at the
wanna,
fan
hey,
base.
you want to go talk Chicago Bears? Go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't a
While
blow at the.
while he's wearing a Khalil Mack t-shirt.
Okay, number one, I was going for the Giants in that playoff game because I hated the Packers, right? But I don't care whether you're a Giants fan or not, right? You just cannot sit there and be like,
We don't
oh,
bring it up though. We don't
yeah,
discuss that moment.
You don't think it
yeah, but like,
happened in our eyes?
what up?
Never happened in our eyes.
Okay.
It's like a bad memory that we're just suppressing, like really deep down. It'll come up in therapy, but we don't bring it up on a podcast.
Remember the Sopranos where we had like Anthony had to talk to like the therapist?
Yes.
That's me. I had to do that for like 3 years after that.
When I go talk to my version of Dr. Melfi, she's gonna finally one day she's gonna pry out of me
You
the
watch.
boat trip.
I'm gonna be on an episode of Dr. Phil talking about this boat trip.
That damn boat trip.
Yeah, it ruined everything, dude.
It did. Like these guys went out, like they tried to prove it wrong. They went out with no shirts on, try to catch balls in like 2-degree weather. Like, what's that proving, guys?
You know what's funny though? So I was writing for a smaller website like at the time, and I was gonna say this was 2017, right? And it was like the year after the 11-5 season. I seriously wrote an article why this team's like a dark horse Super Bowl contender. Because like they had all the talent, but they could never like put it together, And every single time, Mike, you mentioned this, like every time the Giants win the Super Bowl, like no one expects them to win.
Yeah, but that's probably the coaching at that season. Like who we have, Ben McAdoo.
Yes.
Don't.
The Macadoofus.
If we had Tommy C, maybe we do win a 3rd ring. Just saying.
Okay, if they had him, these guys would have never taken the trip to Miami in the first
that would
place.
have never happened.
Exactly.
Yep, you said it exactly.
And
studying.
yeah, no, they would have stayed there that Monday, prepared for the game, and then been like, all right, well, we're gonna go win the game. Because Eli won twice in Lambeau, right, for the playoffs.
Yep.
Unbelievable in Lambeau.
I think he played great in that game too. In the boat game, he played great. His receivers just let him down. He threw a lot of great passes that should have been touchdowns and first downs. All went through their hands. Especially in that first half, I thought he played really good.
Dude, in that game, right, Green Bay was playing zone defense, and Odell was getting in open space. He had like 10 yards of cushion on the receivers. This dude just could not haul the ball in.
It was crazy. It's almost like the game was fixed. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe that game. I want to watch.
Always with the conspiracies.
It gotta be some kind of conspiracy. It's too cold for us. Get out of here. Like, you guys, it's a football. You catch it. Easy.
Not hear from people that go to Lambeau every single year to watch the Bears and Packers because, like, I would want to go there, you know? Like, I would go there to watch Bears, Packers, and to see Lambeau Field because it's, like, all historic and whatnot. But I've heard from people who have been there in, like, November, December that it's a frozen wasteland and they got probably the worst seats in the NFL because it's like, you remember those high school metal bleachers you would have to sit on?
Yes.
That's what they have in Lambeau. So you got to bring your own, like, seat cushion.
You can't walk anywhere there because you'll freeze to death. You have to get like transportation to the stadium.
Bro, I heard their downtown is literally like a Starbucks and it's a Starbucks and you can pretty much step outside the Starbucks. It's a Starbucks, a grocery store, and you can pretty much step outside any of those places and see the stadium.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure like what else is there.
Not much, dude. I'm pretty sure Wisconsin's like, because our guy Juan Gutierrez lives up in Wisconsin, right? But he's in Chicago like every other week for some reason, dude, because it's like a 2-hour drive. But I'm pretty sure, what do you call it? Wisconsin's just like the Milwaukee Brewers, Giannis Antetokounmpo, yeah, and then Green Bay, and that's it.
What's up with that cheese though? Do they make cheese there? Is that the thing?
Yeah, it is actually. So what happened is the story of why they're named the Packers is because like the Acme Packing Company used to have like a plant or something in there back in the day, right? Like in Wisconsin. So the dude just named it like, oh, you know, the Packers, right? Because the guys used to like pack, and I think those same like employees at the packing plant ended up like playing for Curly Lambeau's football team, and then George Hallis, like his name was the Cubs, the baseball team was already in Chicago, but like a football player is bigger than a baseball player, the same way a bear is bigger than a cub. And then for the Giants, I think their name origin was like New York's like skyscrapers or something.
Well, I know that they borrowed their name from a MLB team. I think it was the Brooklyn Giants at the time, like really New York Giants. It might have been. Now it's the San Francisco Giants, but back when the Giants borrowed that name, it was a baseball team's name, and they said that they were borrowing it, and then they ended up keeping it. They were gonna change the name and give Giants back to them, but they didn't for some reason, and that's why they played in the baseball stadium. They played in the Yankee Stadium, I believe. But I think there was another New York team, baseball team named the Giants, and that's where they got their name from.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look that up, man. That's real interesting shit.
Let me look that up right now. Actually, hold on. So New York Giants. This is what this pod has come to. Just googling stuff. New York Giants name origin.
Yeah, like the Brooklyn Dodgers. They went to L.A., became the Dodgers.
Yeah, so Tim Mara, like probably the grandpa of like the current owners, right? He borrowed the Giants nickname from John McGraw's NL baseball team. And then yeah, pretty much that's how the name became the Giants.
Wow.
Don't I know my stuff?
Yeah, well, because you write for ESM, dude. So
I do.
How do you keep all that knowledge up there, Ed? Sometimes I get knowledge like this and I just lose it. I'll forget all this tomorrow.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I've been blessed.
Dude, I'm generally one of those people that has a really good memory.
I'm
So
not.
I'll
the thing,
remember
I'm
a
not.
lot, dude. I remember a lot of stuff, right? But like when it comes to having to promote this podcast every Wednesday morning after I'm home from work, which is like 10:30 Eastern time, I have to go back to the outline just to see what we talked about when I'm typing this thing up on Twitter. Same thing when I'm writing the iTunes and Spotify description. I'm like, what exactly did we talk about?
You got too much going on, bro.
Yeah, with everything, dude. All right, anyways, we're gonna get out of here because we've reached that like 15-minute mark and well almost the 1 hour mark, and we're gonna keep the pods a bit shorter for you guys until preseason and whatnot rolls around. Then we'll begin expanding the pods because like who doesn't, preseason is not worthless football because you get to see guys like what's the dude's name? Javon Leake, right? Make the 55-man roster, even though the NFL is considering shrinking rosters, which would just be the dumbest thing on the planet when there's a virus going around. But yeah, guys, so follow me on Twitter at UsaidCulture. Follow Mike on Twitter at MikeTrainerMFT. Follow Anthony on Twitter at Anthony_Rivardo. We're launching a writing section for the Giants Brawl as well. So if you're interested, DM us on Twitter at Giants Brawl. We got a couple people that are going to start writing for us here. So be on the lookout for that content, guys. Nothing's going to change with regards to the podcast. Anthony, Mike, and I will still be here. Episodes are going to drop during the season, guys, on Wednesday mornings. We record Tuesday night. Anything you guys want to add on?
Giants.
Yeah, go Giants, man.
Yeah, that's about it. It took Mike like 30 seconds to come up with the should I add anything and then say go Giants.
I know. Usually I'm quicker on my feet, man, but,
Yeah.
Go Blue, man. I'm censored tonight. I can't curse. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. All right. See you guys. Thanks for tuning in again.
Later, fellas.